Alta Badia in the Dolomites. In winter, the only way to be mobile is with four-wheel drive. Armin Schwarz, former German rally champion, winds up the mountain in an Audi RS4 slightly modified by MTM rally style. I control understeering by accelerating or not accelerating. I swing the car around its middle point by changing the load.
Versucht das Auto immer ein bisschen den Drehpunkt, den Mittelpunkt zu pendeln, zu drehen.
The middle differential distributes the propulsion variably. When I accelerate, I control the oversteering, and when I slow down, I can adjust. There are a lot of cars where the active brake systems stop working. The weight of the car moves it forward, but nevertheless the handling is good. It's not really like driving a heavy truck.
Natürlich, aber lässt sich trotzdem immer noch gut und einfach handeln. Ist nicht so, damit man meint, man fährt ein LKW.
The RS4 sprints from 0 to 100 in only 4.8 seconds. For Armin Schwarz, team manager of the Red Bull Skoda rally team, it could go a bit faster.
Eigentlich im oberen Bereich.
In the upper range, from 6,000 RPM, the car needs more power, but more important is the torque of a car. But in the end, one cannot have enough torque.
Das ist eigentlich Kraft nicht unbedingt das Maß aller Dinge, sondern eher Drehmoment. Drehmoment wäre sehr entscheidend. Ja, also Drehmoment kann man sicher nicht genügend haben.
Without four-wheel drive, the 430 Newton meters would melt in the snow. The roots of the 420 horsepower RS4 lie in rally sport. The right idea at the right point in time was the cause of a revolution in rally sport and an evolution in four-wheel drive technology for sports cars. In 1981, Audi surprised the competition with the original Quattro in the Rally World Championship. It's a new technology, a new car, a four-wheel drive, the way into the future. Against this car, I can possibly lose. Audi's efforts are not immediately rewarded with a championship win through their dedication to Vorsprung durch Technik. Röhrl wins the Drivers' World Championship in 1982 with the Opel Ascona with rear transmission. In 1980, the four-wheel drive entered the minds of drivers who were exclusively associated with cross-country vehicles. The original Quattro is still considered exotic. This flawless specimen comes from the collection of the Audi Museum. For the Quattro enthusiast Uli Höppel, one thing is certain: the Quattro was a milestone. Of course, it's the first sports car with four-wheel drive worldwide. The other sports cars, Porsche, Mercedes and BMW, had to react. Nowadays, all manufacturers are obliged to offer models with four-wheel drive. In 1980, a modest 0.6% of all new passenger cars in Germany were registered as four-wheel drives. Today, they account for nearly 10%. In the 80s, manufacturers such as Audi, Lancia, Subaru and Peugeot made four-wheel drive in their sports series more acceptable. At the end of development, the four-wheel drive has developed into a genuine sports car. When I accelerate the Quattro, it jumps forward like a cannonball.
Einfach nur wie eine Kanonenkugel nach vorne.
It's not only the all-wheel drive technology in the original Quattro that inspires Uli Höppel. It was this old typical sound of the Quattro, unmatchable, the simple five-cylinder.
Von Wohlbefinden und von geheimnisvollen Sportlichen, das den Quattro-Sound ausmacht, den Fünfzylinder einfach.
The five-cylinder sound leaves nobody cold. In 1983, Audi, with Hannu Mikkola, finally succeeded in winning the long-desired victory in the Drivers' World Championship. While the traditional Audi Coupe at the time cost from 19,000 Deutschmarks, the Quattro cost a shocking 50,000. In 1984, this had already increased to 76,000. But it didn't stop Quattro fans from buying. George Leder, on holiday with his family in Alta, Badia, suddenly stops to get a better look at the original Quattro. It has matured to reach the classic status it now claims. A few years ago, it was still possible to buy one in good condition for 5,000 euros. Today, it is only seen as a restoration project.
Das ist es.
The current RS4 derives 420 horsepower from 8 cylinders. With the original Quattro, it was 200 horsepower from 5. In direct comparison with the great-grandchild, the sports coupe recalls the elegance of the era. A look at the scales emphasizes this point: 1,300 kilograms as opposed to 1,700 kilos. Under the skin of the RS4, the muscles bulge in stout curves. In comparison, the straight lines of the old Quattro look rather shy. The old Quattro has developed from normal everyday car to classic status. Well-maintained Quattros call for an investment of more than 15,000 euros. The new RS4 costs 5 times more with a base price of 70,000 euros. Looked at this way, the original Quattro can be seen as a bargain. The original Quattro formula states 4-wheel drive plus turbocharger yields driving dynamics. It is the sports car par excellence which ushered in a new era. A sports car that storms ahead on every surface: snow, sand, ice. The V8 motor of the new RS4 sounds good and has plenty of power. But I miss the elemental force to break out with brute strength. In an objective comparison between the old and the new, the rally legend gets the short end of the stick. The RS4 can playfully and easily dominate the winding mountain passes. The fact that the RS4 runs circles around the old Quattro is hardly a surprise, but the fact that the new car uses less fuel is. Unleash the 420 horsepower, and the 26 years younger sports limousine uses up more than 15 liters for 100 kilometers. That's what the old-school turbo motor demands. The scathing, typical turbo comment also applies to the engine performance of the original Quattro. 200 horsepower. Quite a lot in those days. The same level as the Porsche 911. You think when someone accelerates, the car storms ahead. I will demonstrate it for you. I call for power, but as we see, nothing happens. Why? Because the motor first needs to reach higher revs to develop more power. It really starts with 3,000 RPM. Here, there's a pressure gauge. Getting to 2 bar. Now we're off. In direct comparison between the all-wheel drive limousines, the difference between driving capabilities and controllability is evident. In an old Quattro, the driver must always use his full concentration to control the turbo while driving fast. With the modern all-wheel limousines, everything is simple. The price is perhaps a loss of authenticity of the driving experience. The suspension of the car is controlled electronically. The demands I make of the car, like accelerating or slowing down, will be interpreted by the system before there is any action. The original Quattro reacts immediately and is, for that reason, my first choice. Uli Höppel, who prefers the impulsive nature of the old Quattro, cannot easily be influenced by the 420 horsepower and a legion of electronic assistance. Quattro was not the first car produced with 4-wheel drive. Subaru had already produced their series of 4x4s in 1972. Audi, however, had the honor of making the first major series passenger car with permanent 4-wheel drive.